We're back here where LFM finds themselves up 2-0 over Endemic, who are conveniently with 2 subs of their own, Dreadnought, Homicidal, and we have Zanehyde coming in from Scythe. If you're wondering where these players come from, they're from the top of the Open Division. Zanehyde, he'll be playing in the Crucible. Homicidal, of course, he's making his way back, trying to do the Open Division. So 2 players right now that have been stepping up for Endemic.
Yeah, and I just want to give a big shout out to them being able to, on such short notice here, being willing to step up for Endemic here. It's one of the biggest roster adjustments. We said that about No Tomorrow with the 3-man split, but that was with the same players here. Even bigger adjustments from Endemic. So shout out to them being able to step up here this weekend. But LFM got the upper hand, at least so far here over Endemic with that 2-0 lead.
Yeah, we're going to find out what battleground we go to here, and to continue to go down the talking with LFM as they're going to be picking Tomb of the Spider Queen. Dreadnought, they're a team that, since Dark Chimera came over, it seems like there's been more playmaking potential from both ends between Fury and Dark Chimera in the tank support roles, but we're also seeing more play. It's hard to gauge in this series, but we have seen steady improvement from this LFM roster as this phase has gone on, most notably since the comeback with the swap with the Aware retiring and Dark Chimera coming in.
Yeah, and we said this earlier where I was just talking about Fury on the front line, having him as a warrior, the consistency he has with his veterancy, that is going to be amazing. And then Dark Chimera with the plays he's been making, now the front and back line of this roster, pretty consistent within the warrior and support. So I felt like the ranged assassins really would be able to thrive, and they are very much stepping up that point. And I feel like this series, as you said, though it's hard to gauge the level of standout level of performance, the biggest thing to look at here is that LFM's playing clean. They're gaining the lead, not really risking anything at any point, and just going, we're going to win this game. And that is something we haven't gotten from them in the past. So knowing that they should be the upper hand and that they're executing as cleanly as they are, I think is a big point.
It's been cool to see so far. We'll see if LFM can close it out. Not to put the cloud over the bright, shining light that we see for LFM right now, but they did go up 2-0 over Team Freedom.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting the reverse sweep. Team Freedom, arguably a different caliber than Endemic right now, although Endemic did take down Team Freedom in the subsequent series for Team Freedom. But Endemic playing with 2 subs, I don't want to say the path to victory is easier because we have very good players on that team. It's just the circumstances surrounding it are difficult for Endemic right now.
See how they can recover here in the 3rd game. Starting off with a Urel ban. Understandably so. Swab's been pretty scary there.
2 for 2 so far.
Yeah.
And his impact has definitely been felt.
Yeah. Whether it be through the leaps on Endemic and their backline or the leaps onto LFM's backline. Either way, they've been very valuable.
Reminder, finals week for BlizzCon will be at the Blizzard Arena. You can attend the opening weeks, not just BlizzCon, that's obviously separate, so you can attend the opening week at the Blizzard Arena. All that information down there in the ticker for you if you are open to that. Sergeant Hammer banned out here by LFM, taking that out of Tomb of the Spider Queen. Saw Genji in game number 1, then banned last game, but let through here.
But it's on 2. Do you go with it?
Ooh.
Hit me with it. J-How, just
time to get wild. Just give him that 2-headed ogre.
Yeah, with the first pick white main, and then your snap calling
Clemency all day. Here you go. I got target heals for days.
We'll find out. LFM in response, what are they going to want to make happen here? Genji Diablo. Droplets said, I sense the resets in game 1. I'm feeling them here in game number 3. Made it look good on towers. Does limit their wave clear. I mean, always got to be concerned when you commit to a Genji. But
they had the Stukov. Well, that was Endemic last game. They've gone Karazim. Stukov does do well on this battleground to follow up some of those potential dives and flips. There's Raynor, Blaze. Just saying. Have the makings of it.
Of the Cho'Gall composition?
Yeah.
What do you ban? Leo? So you make sure, you're like, oh, look it. Hey, it's Tomb. I banned the Leo. I just wanted my Blaze to have an advantageous lane.
I have no mobility as White Main and Raynor.
No Cho'Gall here. I really like our...
I love Cho'Gall, man. I love Cho'Gall.
It's hard to get a reset.
Yeah, just a bit.
You know? Shuriken build doesn't do percentile damage at any point. even if you commit to that for more sustain, it does have a big enough model that you gain value out of the shotgun 13, but we'll find out as we move through the bans. I think it has to be a ban onto it if Leo here, if you were going to go down that route.
Oh yeah, 100%. Keep the dream alive. Keep the dream alive.
But it should be noted that we talked about why that's a meta pick, and it would be like, hey, we have no interest. you're stomping the leg like you know this is it.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. If I was with roll 20 and I had that dice, I'd be rolling a 20 right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. But they're in EU now. Junkrat Dahaka. Oh, just snap block it. Snap it.
Snap it. Well, already a couple seconds late.
I'm going to get like Garrosh and Phoenix or Jaina.
With the Dahaka Junkrat Genji, very squishy backliners, and the rest pickup that you can expect to be the support. So anything that can really trade to the pretty much fragile glass cannons of LFM is going to help out a lot. Jaina is pretty effective at that when you're talking about that, but we get the Garrosh Phoenix, nothing wild. Standard.
I said it's like, we're going to get the Garrosh Phoenix.
And then it's there.
I jinxed myself.
Yeah, we could have gotten the Cho'Gall, but then you decided to give them other options.
My bad. But Leo is a good ban to keep away. You have an immobile backline of a Raynor and a Whitemane. You get some movement speed. There are movement speed options for Raynor and Whitemane. Phoenix has the warp, but it also takes away the percentage-based damage against Garrosh on the front line. So it is a good ban, and it is Tomb for the wave clear. So very heads-up draft by Endemic. No shenanigans here. But the Malfurion on the other side for LFM does do well to hit the Moonfire, give the regrowth over to Genji so he can kind of live off somewhere else while you just tag a few people to continue to keep him healed up.
The old Tracer treatment there for the Genji. Figgy will be able to help a lot with the Junkrat pickup to make sure that they have a lot of that wave clear that is going to be a concern here. Having swabs on the Dahaka, I'm never really a fan of Dahaka on towers. I think he's really overhyped in a lot of situations. There were a lot of resources committed to the offlane, so it makes sense why he ended up in that area, but maybe would have liked higher priority into an offlaner.
I believe it was yesterday where we saw McIntyre on a Dahaka. He made it work.
Yeah.
So we've seen it do well.
But his Dahaka, I feel like, is on another level compared to NA.
Ooh, Swabs, though. He's going to see if he can maybe, once he hits post 10, he can flex both of his arms.
I'm ready for it.
But pre-10, it's one.
It's just one. Yeah. Baby arm.
Yeah.
Then you get baby arms. The right to have baby arms. I was just altering the bear arms
ready?
there.
Yeah,
are we ready for the game?
I get it. Are we ready? There's a lot of control. There's a lot of pushback potential. The Diablo Genji, the main point. For LFM, the one thing that I've seen, Dreadnought, it's not that I want to say it's better. With all due respect to the Aware, there were times where he was definitely following up on Fury, but there was at times miscommunication. For me, it's going to be important to see the Diablo charge flip into roots.
Yeah.
I need those roots to be on time and in position. You have the Indomitable from Garrosh, the Cleanse potentially from Whitemane, but you have potential to get that follow-up, and if Junkrat is nearby, you get a Concussion Mine. There's a lot of potential synergy with very basic abilities to just disrupt what Endemic does, and that has been something that it feels like it's more refined with Dark Chimera on this roster, following up on Fury's initiations.
Yeah, that is a good point that you bring up, and also one of the harder, kind of combos for the Malfurion to be able to deal with since the Elun's Grace removal is getting follow-up to a Diablo specifically. Just because of his Shadow Charge risky positioning that it puts him into, makes it very predictable that you're going to see that kind of funneling in out of the Malfurion, and makes it easiest to get a good response into him. So we'll see how that works out here for LFM. But I think that's a good point that you bring up. Those kind of things have been very much on a more synergistic level for LFM as of late.
Right now, just controlling the rotations, give him some pepper. Does have that very substantial wave clear. Dahaka does very well in the solo lane. Junkrat has good clear. You can see there's a clear focus for LFM to make sure and not be near and mirror the rotation. Sometimes you just try and go up and then disrupt that rotation so you don't fall into the trap of maybe an early Garrosh toss, because an early Diablo, not many souls, can be a liability.
Shadow Charge. not going to be committed to. Fury, actually, nobody knows Fury is over in this fog either. He was very patient there. Dansky walks over, not going to get the flip combo, though. Plays it a little bit slower, safer here.
I think it's just a matter of, if he has more souls, he's ripping that real fast.
Yeah, he's much like the baby arms of baby Diablo for now. Until you get all those souls. Gets a lot easier post 4 and 7.
It's the skin. The skin has the creepy arms.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Remember when they came out with this skin? It's one of the more sinister skins. It's very, very cool. Everybody started rocking it. I still like the old Diablo Master skins, though.
Yeah, they are pretty neat.
They're intimidating. I still rock it.
6-gem tournament for Endemic over the lane phase so far. Fury finds himself a Dansky combo over.
There it is.
Yeah, you talked about the combo. It was clean. It was even a 1-up level from what you were even talking about. Fury repositioned because he landed the Shadow Charge. A lot of Diablos actually don't take the time to do that. He maximized the stun on the Shadow Charge, optimized the flip positioning, and then set it up in the Dark Chimera combo. If you were to complain at all, you'd say, Swabs, you stacked the drag with the root, but it didn't matter. That was clean there from LFM.
We also see an adaptation on the level 4. You and I talked about this a lot when we were in Korea because they tend to adapt their roots, right? So you have the Strangling Vines, which reduces healing. You have the bigger ones that you have the bigger radius. Droplets is just going to hang out. I think he got interrupted on his switch strike there. That was very well done by Dansky to interrupt that. I don't know what Droplets was doing because he kind of AFK'd for a moment.
So I think what happened was he was in fog.
Scouting.
He was in the shrub scouting. He says Zainhide moves up. He's body blocking Zainhide from getting into the shrub itself. Zainhide blind ease, throws him over because he's in melee range. Then goes, oh, wait a minute, switch strike interrupted. Not much I can do.
And his deflect, he used the deflect the minute he got flipped, so there was no surviving that. But shoutouts to Dansky for that penetrating round to anticipate that swift strike. Without that, I don't think that's a kill.
No, it's definitely not. Well done by Dansky, as you said. More gems turned in by Fury on that Diablo. Enough to get a Web Weaver phase and first of the game. Pretty early, though, Jay Howe here for LFM. They do have pretty good wave clear. Wow, that drag from downtown sets up the reset opportunity. Zainhide trying to kite away. 28 armor available, drops the Groundbreaker. And there it is.
Tongues don't get much longer than that. Swab's setting a new record here at HGC.
Looks like he was on a Kiss album. My goodness.
I couldn't come up with a clever way, but you nailed it. The sieging potential of LFM, not exactly the best in the early game, Dreadnought.
Yeah, not the best. Junkrat being the biggest clear, so you'd think you'd normally see Web Weaver phases a little bit later than what we got out of that based on the lack of wave clear here for FM. So let's see what they can make happen with it. Setting up another drag there on the Homicidal. Full focus towards the clear here for Endemic towards the bottom lane. Raynor dealing with top, setting it now down to 50% HP as it's a 4-man, excuse me, for LFM towards the mid lane. Still pretty healthy. When looking at that HP of that Web Weaver, this is a really good early game Web Weaver phase for them considering how early the Web Weavers were.
Think about the impact of level 7 there. That Feeding Frenzy allowed for Swabs to get not 1 but 2 drags and disrupt the amount of damage that could come out by time. Nice roots put down, just able to pass by as that of Endemic, but it bought enough time with the detour. LFM's able to walk away with the half-level lead and some structures down.
So now we see, can Endemic get this Web Weaver phase for themselves with a counter turn in, get that experience momentum back into their favor, maybe tip over that heroic selection before LFM. Droplets try to get the interrupt. Kira actually self-interrupting. Fury finds the interrupt there. Indomitable use, flip over to make sure there is no flip back, but the concussion mine, this should be a kill on the Zainhide as they get tossed back. That is a cleanse use that time by Big Impact, but look at Droplets going in for the reset.
Oh, that drag.
Wow, Swabs is on point there with this Dahaka.
He heard us. He heard us before it started. He said, McIntyre, who? As he's coming in with his own play, Concussion Mine's going to disrupt, I believe, what might have been a warp there. That's going to be another takedown. LFM getting some kills, and now the instant pings with level 10 imminent. They're going to move in and take down the first fort of the game.
This is big. To get a Web Weaver let me rephrase this. To get any kind of structure damage in the downtime on Tomb of the Spider Queen in the early stages without a Web Weaver phase is almost unheard of. You could say that same statement and not even consider the early game, and it'd probably be true still. So that was a big win for LFM, and even more so because they have enough gems for a Web Weaver immediately after. JL, if done proper, we're sitting that kind of circumstance where this game can get to that 3-level lead boss, early lethal even, for LFM.
The most common thing that we see at this stage of the game as we get the Web Weaver turn in is that LFM at the end of this conceivably take down minimum 1 fort, potentially 2, as long as they speed things up. At the end of that, they're about 12, 12 and a half. They goaltend until they're 13. Their opponent sits around 10 or 11, and then they just ride it out from there.
Yep.
The long haul. And Endemic, they're trying to thwart some of that as they stall the Night Camp to help defend the Web Weavers.
But look how long it took LFM to capture that Night Camp. They know there's free damage over mid. Look at this. JL, that's a big setback. That could have been a lot of damage. Night Camp behind it.
It's nowhere near.
Now bottom and top are the only things to be focusing on for LFM. They do have the Dahaka there with the bottom camp and Giants joining that. That Web Weaver will lose a lot of HP.
They got Siege Giants there too.
Yeah, and so that was part of the reason why they didn't get the Knights in time, is because Genji actually went to make sure they got the Giants within time. Makes sense because it gets the better Siege, but it did lose that middle Web Weaver. It's just that nobody on Endemic responded to Dahaka, so this is now a winning trade because they have split pressure on opposite side of the battleground and a Dahaka Shrub right up above, which you see the brush talk coming in now.
Well, there was the toss taunt, and Zainhide just trying to make it in. Swabs comes in. He's making the plays. Zainhide not able to make it out. That's a double kill. Riptire going in. That bottom Web Weaver should have already made its way through the keep wall with those Siege Giants, and now we're looking at potentially keep damage, if not keep going down, but Blaze finally there. But that snowball of 12, 12 and a half to 10, 11, this is far worse when you look at 2 keep walls down and the amount of experience they gain there.
Yeah, the silver lining left here for Endemic is that they have enough gems for a Web Weaver phase. But they're never going to see an even talented team fight outside of a misplay on the side of LFM for the rest of this game. So can they somehow get those Web Weavers and make something proactive happen?
Ooh, Rainer's trying to sneak it in.
Yeah, he's going for it.
See if they sniff it out.
He starts it. No one backs out.
Malfurion is close.
He did
it. He got it.
Mission accomplished. Dark Chimera.
The Roots just missed, but they are in hot pursuit. Hami puts the oil down, trying to get there. Dansky buys space and time, but that is 33 gems. LFM sniffing that out. Shout outs to Dark Chimera, whoever's making the calls there. But the interrupt there, that is crucial. Confirming a snowball, that's how you do it. When you deny that many gems, that even if Endemic gets a turn in, the amount of distance that they have to get with that, they have to make so much happen. You have to get multiple kills if Endemic is able to get a turn in, and if not, those Web Weavers do not have the high impact, and then you're left with not much in the bank.
Now 3-level lead. Web Weavers descending in favor of LFM. At this point in the game, you go minimum 1 keep is what you should be game planning on. And Jayhow, these Web Weavers are not that beefy. They do not do that much damage. A lot of this is through lane preparation and forcing the hand through an initiation. They already have that bottom keep set up. Normally you want to make the rotation from mid keep down to bottom keep, not the other way around, but they might be able to make it here. Also, I'd like to see somebody kill the sidewall. This is one of the few rotations, yes, where that sidewall is very important to get rid of because it helps the distance between mid to bottom transition between these lanes for LFM.
Dahaka pushing top. The 4-man of LFM will try and confirm the bottom keep. Dahaka will try and confirm the top, see if they can get that rotation up, make the big power play. If worse comes to worse, Endemic might be suffering a defeat here, but they make a very good response. Only the bottom keep will fall. That is still a major loss for Endemic as they are now sitting 4 levels behind.
Still feel like LFM may have been able to get a little bit more out of the situation had they rotated a little bit differently, but at this point they're just going to not take any risks that they don't have to take here. And now this is an interesting situation. Is anybody going to anchor either one of the Web Weaver opportunities for LFM? The answer is no. Rainer's Raider scouts out the boss. I think that did end up catching a Scout of Fury there.
And Blaze will get the turn in, which will confirm Web Weavers can help defend this. Catapult. Oh, Zainhide is in a tough spot. He will be met by those roots. There's the cleanse. Zainhide trying to walk away, gets that 40 armor. The bunker goes down. Ami gets popped by it, but still a lot of armor for Zainhide, and the healing gets the taunt.
Salvo?
Zainhide somehow survives, but Phoenix does not.
Boss now still sieging up, trying to get damage out. Another kill there. So they get the kill onto Raynor. Droplets trying to find a reset. He's got two if he can kill, one of those two. It's a lot harder to kill the Garrosh and confirm that reset. Fury makes that a little bit easier with a huge shadow charge. Swab lands a drag. And that is another kill here. Endemic down 3 members, 5 seconds, so they're going to have Phoenix. But LFM looking to end this game 12 minutes in.
Don't blame them. They're on the core. Shield starting to fall. Boss still healthy enough to get the confirmation on this core as LFM comes out with a 3-0. Should be momentarily. Endemic, though, playing with 2 subs. Very difficult day for them given the circumstances. LFM, they pick up a crucial victory here, Dreadnought, in their climb out of those potential bottom 2 spots in the Crucible. Zainhide, the tank there, maybe scouting out his opponents, saying, look, I'll be in the Crucible. Maybe I'll be facing you, maybe I won't. They'll still have a decision to make. But for LFM, they pick up a crucial victory for them.
Yeah, great job there by LFM. And as you said there, huge shout out. Always give a lot of credit there towards any of the members coming in looking to sub for the HGC. So thank you very much from Homicidal and Zainhide. But I think it is a bigger thing here for me seeing LFM. Okay, let's put it this way. If we were going to go in the history of LFM and you were to say, you know, a mid-tier team in North America, like Endemic level of power level, that they're going to go through 2 adjustments. 2 people will not be there on that day. I'm not sure you look at that and you go, I'm confident they'll still end up getting that win. I think you look at that and you go, so it's going to be competitive. And I think that we have talked about the development and growth that we get from this roster and what they've been able to do. Yes, there are some roster changes and the fact that Fury, we talked about Aware, and that it isn't the exact same 5-man, but that development and that growth, I think, comes to light here. Because now it wasn't even like a, do they have the upper hand? Because I was still not totally convinced before. You heard me going like, I want to say this, but I'm not. They haven't proved that to me in the past. And that they came out today, 3 games where it wasn't the, here's the 5-level lead, maybe Dignitas level dominance. But I mean, we got a very controlled, calculated series from them.
When I mentioned the follow-up, we saw that example with that Diablo flip over, the communication starting to evolve, starting to develop for this team of LFM who are looking to climb their way out of the top. We have a look at the bottom of the standings because this is the expanded standings, because despite the win-loss record, it then comes down to your map score. Simplicity plays Tempo Storm tomorrow, a difficult task for them. Simplicity, we'll see how they do moving forward, but it's the wins. They have the same wins, does LFM and Simplicity. If Simplicity falls maybe 0-3 to Tempo Storm, that becomes a much narrower gap. And that's very crucial for these teams as they move forward. Endemic still sits at a decent spot to make it out. They'd have to have a crazy collapse. Look for their roster to be back to full strength moving forward. Just a crazy weekend for them. But it's very, very hard to gauge that 6-7 spot. And the difference between 6 and 7 is 6, you're guaranteed for 2019. And you have a chance to play in the playoffs for BlizzCon. That 7-spot seed, you're in the Crucible.
Yeah, and to give an idea of how dire that kind of can be for any of those teams is you're legitimately sitting away from the biggest tournament in the world and an opportunity of competing into that and knowing you've got a job for at least the next couple of months of the opener of HGC. Versus going, I'm not even sure I can claim that I'm still going to be a professional Heroes of the Storm player. It is a tough circumstance to be in. And though in the past it's been most of the teams in the Crucible have struggled to find ways to get the upper hand, it's getting more and more competitive as time goes on. It makes it that bit much more of a question mark.
The evolution that we've seen from Scythe in the Open Division, that's a team to watch out for going to the Crucible. They have their eyes on the bottom 2 teams, potentially bottom 3 teams, to see who they want to play. That is a very good team. We have Psystorm, 4 members, 3 of the members were BlizzCon representatives for SEA. So the Open Division in North America, they are coming for those 2 teams. And I don't think you want to be a part of that Crucible. Much better to be a part of the playoffs when we look forward. And we actually have the man who's making a name for himself here, the newer player, Droplets. Congratulations on the victory today.
Thank you, thank you. It's glad to be here. Definitely a long time coming for us, finally getting a win, and I'm definitely super excited to get this win.
Well, Droplets, so many people, when we get the interviews ready to go for the weekend, they constantly say Droplets, Droplets, Droplets. And Dansky said in his interview when I talked to him earlier this week, he said, we just have to make sure that Droplets doesn't wipe us. Well, you did just that on that Genji play in a couple of moments, especially on that Towers game. How good did it feel to come out and show that type of strength?
It definitely felt really great going into that. Overall, I kind of just look at their comp and I said they don't really have any CC to lock me down. And as a D-Blade Genji, I can definitely just go in and wipe all of them, basically.
We've seen the team coordination come in more and more, especially since Dark Chimera has come in. Talk to me a little bit about the impact that he's had replacing the Aware, a player that you guys played the first part with. But after that second, or after the Western Clash, you guys have looked stronger, more coordinated with him in your roster. Talk to me about the impact that he's had.
So Dark is definitely a very experienced player, but overall, I think he brought a lot of value to our team because he's very vocal in comms, and it always let us know what he was doing, and we always understood what his intentions were. So then we're slowly to build our synergy between him and Fury, as well as our backline following up.
Well, it looked good today, and congratulations. I'm going to send you over to Dread.
Droplets, I've got to go ahead. Oh, sorry about that. Droplets, I got to go ahead and ask you here about the kind of internal bar you guys maybe set for yourselves today. Because I feel like knowing, with those roster changes and the subs coming in for Endemic here today, what was your guys' goal and what made it a, this is a success for us? Is it a 3-0? Is it just getting a win? What did you guys have in mind going into that series?
So going into the series, obviously we weren't sure if Endemic was actually getting subs or not, but regardless of that, we wish them well. However, going into the set, we just thought that this was a must-win because we are still looking at the playoff spots, and we think that if we can keep building our synergy, we can overall slowly become better and hopefully go for that BlizzCon spot.
And so it seems like synergy is a big focus for you guys, as you're already talking about, focusing on making sure Fury and Dark Chimera are always on the same page and then finding ways to enable you guys to make sure you get that follow-up. Are you guys doing anything, specifically focusing on ways to increase that level of follow-up and communication for this roster when practicing?
So overall, we're just trying to look at what everyone's perspective overall, and we kind of discuss that a lot with our coach. He sort of provides us with a lot of slideshow package, just that make us reevaluate what each of us is doing and kind of look at what we're doing and what other people are doing so we can build on that synergy.
That's really awesome. Thank you for the insight there, and I'm going to send you back to JL.
Droplets, you guys want to make the chase for the playoffs. There's still some work to be done. You've got to hope maybe some luck on the side of Simplicity. When you are watching to see where you can pick up those victories, today's got to feel good, but there's still work to be done. Simplicity, obviously, we see them tomorrow. How much are you looking at other teams as well as your own schedule?
So we're not really too concerned about other teams because that's sort of out of our hands. But going into playoffs, it's definitely just we're thinking we're going up against Octalysis, and they're known for their wacky draft. So they seem to be really good right now. So we're just hoping to take as many maps off them as we can. And definitely thinking that going up against No Tomorrow, that's also a must-win for us if we want to clinch that playoff spot.
Well, things have definitely looked brighter for you guys, and you have a very bright future. It's been fun to watch you guys so far. We look forward to more. And now the floor is yours for shoutouts.
Thank you, Jayhal. Shout out to Endemic. They're a great team and a great org. It was unfortunate that 2 of their players couldn't make it today. Shout out to our coach Hiro. Shout out to LFM, and shout out to my team. Oh, and also shout out to Twitch chat.
You hit the important one. Congrats, Droplets.
Thank you.
A lot of pressure on your shoulders for a first interview. If you forget Twitch chat, they'll never let it down.
Don't forget him. The Genji play from Droplets, he reminded us why Genji is normally banned.
Yeah.
I've said it twice already. I'm just going to say it a third time. Dansky saying, don't let Droplets wipe us. We heard from Fan previously when they played LFM, it's Droplets. I wasn't sure if they were really joking. Some of the way, have some fun with, obviously, Droplets tuning in. You mentioned it before. But Droplets is starting to find his way in the HGC. Figgy moving to the back line, starting to establish himself as a very strong duo there. And then with the front and back line, if they can get all that meshing in time for the playoffs, they could pull off some upsets.
And it's a subtle thing there from him. But for me, you know, being the lame-o who's from traditional sports as well, before the, you know, a lot of the esports world kind of picking up, is I had a lot of respect hearing him going, it was unfortunate that my opponents were